What's up, YouTube? This is Byston X89. Alright, guys, we're almost close to the date where I do my typical Banlist predictions. I usually do a month before the next known sooner than date, which is October 1st, 2021. So the date, my Banlist prediction video is upcoming this week. So be on the lookout for that. However, for today's video, I thought I'd take a look at two of the top meta decks, which are Dryden and Tri-Brigade, and try to figure out which cards in those decks really carry the potential of actually picking up hits on the upcoming TCG Konami ban list. Okay. First off, we're going to start off with Dryden's, and the first card, Cyber Angel Ben 10. The last time Dryden was top meta, this card wound up being picked up a limit on it, and I got a feeling this card is going to take the hit of the ban hammer this time around as well. And primarily reason is basically this last effect. If this card is tributed, you can add one Light Fairy monster from your deck to your hand. Just being able to search out any Light Fairy, this gives the Dryden decks insane access to a lot of different resources, and it builds an interesting engine into it. And basically because with the way Dryden deck work and the fact that there's no hard ones per turn on this card is very abusable in that deck, and I've seen how many times it can go off just building resources in your opponent's hand. So when it switches over to your opponent's turn, not only do they have the resources in hand, they have a powerful walking Omnigate that's also a Solemn Strike on the field, and you have enough materials for that card's effect. To be very honest, Ben 10, it needs to go. Very simple. By Ben 10, the Fairy engine might probably actually have to be removed from Dryden, and that probably will be enough to knock Dryden out of the top tier. Now, there's also other talk about other cards that are in Dryden decks, that the Dryden deck that should, or more specifically, the Fairy engine in the Dryden deck that should be hit. And the next card is basically going to be, that I've seen a lot more recently, is Ava. Ava, if this card is ever sent to the graveyard, you banish two other Light Fairy monsters from your field and graveyard. More likely, it's from the graveyard. And you add the same number of level 2 or lower Light Fairy monsters with different names from your deck to your hand, except for itself, and you only can use this effect once per turn. Okay, to me, this is a very fair card. It's just a deck that it's being used in, and how much resources it can generate is where the unfairness is. But to be very honest, I kind of like the low-level Fairy engine, and I kind of want to see what else this card and that engine can do outside of a Dryden deck. I want to see what it can do inside of in an actual Fairy deck, to be honest, to see if it can actually add anything else into that deck. I know being able to search up two other Light Fairies, all the other Herald hand traps are Light Fairies, and they can block monster effects, spells, and trap cards specifically, and to be honest, that's not a bad idea. So the primary reason why I don't think TCG Konami is going to touch this card is basically because it only has one printing. This card was initially printed in the Wayward Light structure deck way back in 2018. I actually did an opening of the structure deck. It was one of the first videos I did on my channel. It's still up on my channel if you guys want to check it out. Fair warning, can be cringe, but still, one printing, in my opinion, doesn't jive, especially with TCG Konami wanting to try to get as much money out of their cards as possible. And since this is kind of a very popular tournament card, I expected to get a reprint in an upcoming Gold series that's being released in November. Not only that, but earlier this month in the OCG, and I can scroll down here, they also released a new structure deck, the Lost Sanctuary structure deck. In this case, a lot of the agents got new support, and even in this deck, Ava was considered a reprint in the deck. So if TCG Konami brings over that structure deck to outside of the game, we could get a reprint of Ava there. So it's not shocking that Konami would try to get multiple reprints of this card going. And to be very honest, I think not doing anything in this card is a wise decision, and it's a pretty solid one. Now, the next card, everybody wants to see this card gone. Pretty much. Is this card bannable? Yes, it is bannable. It was banned over in OCG. But just like Ava here, it's never gotten a reprint. It only had one printing here in the TCG, and that was in last year's Megatins. To be very honest, I'm shocked that they didn't try to reprint it in last year's Gold Series set. To be very honest, I would think that they would reprint it in this year's Gold Series set to help boost the sales for that set, because, and not only that, but to drive down the price of the card. This card is very pricey. It's about $70 last time I looked at the singles, and it definitely does need a reprint. Get it in more players' hands, and then following the typical TCG Konami method of reprint, then ban, I think it would be a solid idea. So yes, right now it's being utilized in Dryden, but it's being utilized in Dryden more as a default, rather than as maybe something additional, because most boards I've witnessed in the current decks don't really end with him. On it, I only really see them bringing out Dragoon if their opponents throw enough interference during their turn that they can't really build into the necessary boards, but they have at least 2 effect monsters, so they basically go Anaconda, Dragoon, and they end their turn from there. So, to be honest, taking Dryden out of the meta by going after Ben 10 and potentially the next card, I think would probably be the better choice. And the next card is that I think that's going to probably pick up a ban next to Ben 10 is going to be Herald of Ultimatus. Ultimatus, like I said, is the Omnigate that's also a walking Solemn Strike in one. It also has that effect where it's not a hard once per turn. So as long as you have fairy type monsters to discard in your hand, you're going to be able to get multiple uses out of this card. And to be very honest, that's just not very healthy. And considering that Drydens can actually search this card out without needing Ben 10, that's huge. That is huge. Not only can they search it, they can also summon it without the need to utilize a ritual spell out of the graveyard. So yeah, this is going to be a very problematic card. And even if you turn around and get rid of Ben 10 and keep Ultimatus, it's still going to be in Dryden decks. It's still going to be able to get out, and it's still going to be abusable. And to be very honest, I really would like to actually see this card getting removed from the game just to help balance things out. And those are particularly the cards that I've been seeing a lot of talk about for Drydens. Moving into Tri-Brigade, the first card that I have a feeling that's going to pick up the hit is going to be Fire Aforementioned Tanki. Zodiac Tri-Brigade is the big version of this deck that's really getting a lot of play. And to be very honest, currently Fire Aforementioned Tanki is actually sitting on the OCG Banlist at 2. It is semi-limited right now. I don't know why the Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki hasn't updated this card with the semi-limited status in the OCG. Probably is an oversight, but still, it is semi-limited over in the OCG, and with the popularity of Zodiac Tri-Brigade, I can definitely totally see this card moving up the list in the OCG and picking up a limit here in the TCG. Yeah, I know it isn't fair with a lot of other Beast Warrior decks, but to be very honest, just trying to rein in the consistency of that particular version would definitely be a better idea, primarily because they're going to want to push the sales of Lurlusks, and Tri-Brigade Lurlust is definitely one of the decks I think they're going to want to push moving forward. So that's why putting Tanki to 1 is definitely going to be the better option for the Zodiac Tri-Brigade deck. Now, another card that I've seen a lot of people talking about and that people are predicting that will be a hit is Fractal. To be very honest, is Fractal hit-worthy? Yes. Is it ban-worthy? No. So I can definitely see this card probably picking up maybe a limit somewhere down the future, probably after Tri-Brigade Lurlusk is now a thing here in the TCG. This card basically can load your graveyard with a level 3 lower Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster, so it definitely plays into the Lurlusk strategy very well. You can banish any number of Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monsters, and or Winged Beast monsters from your graveyard, especially summon one Link monster of the same typing from your extra deck with a link rating equal to the number of monsters you banished. I mean, most Tri-Brigades do have similar effects that can actually do that, which is actually pretty cool in my opinion. I don't think that particular effect is limit worthy. I think it's more or less the deck you're using in it, and because this card can help load the graveyard for a potential OTK deck, yes. Once that OTK deck gets into the TCG, we definitely will see an uptick in probably this card being called to be hit. The last card in the Tri-Brigade deck is basically going to be Revolt. Again, trying to rein in the consistency of the deck as a whole without killing it, as well as not without hurting the sales for like something like the Megatins, because this card is a pretty important card for the Tri-Brigade deck. You special summon any number of Beast Warrior, Wing Beast monsters that are banished and or in your graveyard, negate their effects, and then immediately after this effect resolves, you link summon one Tri-Brigade Link monster using only those monsters. It's an easy way to get into a Link 4, especially during your opponent's turn, and to be honest, you also set up a ton of other effects as soon as those Tri-Brigade monsters hit the graveyard. So yeah, I can definitely see probably this card picking up a limit. I think that's the most fair thing. It's still searchable in the Tri-Brigade deck via the Rampage Link Monster. So I think that would basically be the best option to do with this deck. And guys, so I definitely can see this card picking up at least maybe a limit. Alright guys, that is pretty much it for the dive into the two meta decks and what cards I have a feeling will probably be picking up hits or not being hit in those decks. Like I said, my prediction videos is going to be coming out later this week, so be on the lookout for that. Guys, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this on my channel, make sure to subscribe, enable notifications so you don't miss any uploads. Check out the description box below. Find the invite link to my Discord server. Join a conversation. We'd love to have you. Check out my affiliates, TCGplayer.com, as well as SideDeckVersus.com. Great resources for any Yu-Gi-Oh player, and you'll help support the channel by using those affiliate links. Follow me on social media, and guys, until next time, peace.